Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Now it's been a hot minute since I did some Summerboard content, but I'm back and I do really like this board. However, there aren't that many opportunities for riding this in my local area, and one of the main reasons for that is the really bad roads around here. Now, the Summerboard as standard up until now, and the e-toxx before it, is shipped with these centre wheels. They're really cool. The Summerboard ones are really wide, which makes edge-to-edge transition so much easier than the previous version, the e-toxx V2. However, the urethane on them isn't that thick. It's only probably 10mm max in the middle, maybe less, like 5mm in places. And that means that you really need ultra smooth roads to ride this thing until now. Now, one thing I've always thought Summerboard were good at is listening to their customers, and in this occasion it's no different. Aaron actually reached out to me ages ago, probably 12 months ago, maybe a little bit less, to get my thoughts on the cloud wheels and whether I think that they would be a good fit for the Summerboard. And I tried to steer him away from the cloud wheels for a few reasons, and in the end I've been proved that that is a good decision, because obviously there was a lot of problems with the cores cracking and all that. Anyway, they've come up with a new wheel themselves, and it's called the Freshie. Now, you look at this wheel, there is a serious amount of urethane on here compared to the old wheels, which were mostly core and not that much urethane. Here it's significantly thicker, and what's more, it's got all these holes in it, which gives the wheel a bit of suspension. Now, when you feel this in your hand, it doesn't immediately appear to be any softer, but the early tests of this all report that this thing actually is really good and makes the board infinitely more rideable on rough terrain, which is exactly what I'm looking for, so I can go and ride this thing around my village. UK Summerboarders, we have an answer. It's called the Freshie, and I think this is going to be super cool. So I thought, as soon as they just come in the mail and I have a spare few minutes, I get them installed on the board, so the next time I go out I'm ready to rock. And I thought, why not bring you along for the ride with me and show you how to install the Freshies on your Summerboard. So without further ado, let's install the Freshies on this board. Now guys, in order to install these Freshies on here, we're going to need a few tools. We're going to need a socket set, we're going to need some Allen keys to get this off, but not a lot of tools. Also, it would be really handy if you had a pair of circlip or C-clip pliers to get this circlip off the end. We're going to need to remove that to take the pulley off this wheel. Now, we're going to start the job by removing the motor cover. Now, these are fairly small, but they do come off. So we're going to get these two Allen bolts off, and then we can take the cover off like that. Leave the Allen bolts in there, the cover will retain them. And that shows us the motor pulley and the wheel pulley. Now, one thing you've got to be really careful of, especially if you've got an early board like me, is these bolts can round really easy. We have to loosen the motor to be able to move it to get the belt off. Just be really careful undoing these 4 bolts. Like that. There you go, mine have rounded. That first one's rounded straight away. Right, that one's come out. Now guys, I'm going to be replacing these with cap head bolts. I don't know why the board didn't come with cap head bolts in the start. I believe that these bolts are now improved on the newer boards. You've got to remember that mine was a day one board. It was from the early batches. And you can tell that by the carbon fiber finish on the board. They don't come like this anymore. That's because mine's a real early one. Hopefully. Yes. So guys, I just hammered a bigger Torx bit into that bolt, because they're so soft, these old style ones, that you can actually do that. Like I said, I will be changing these out for cap head bolts, which I've already done on the other motor. Right, now that's loosened, you can just slip the belt off, and there's the last bit of those bolts. There's my 4 motor bolts, and these will be getting changed out. Right, now we've got the drive wheel free. It's quite simple from here. There are one grub screw, or there is one grub screw in here that needs to come out. Doesn't even need to come out, we just need to loosen it. And then we want to take off the C-clip. Oh, there we go. C-clip off. And then this should, if we've removed the grub screw enough, this pulley should come off. Might need a bit of leverage. Come on, right, there we go. So that's the wheel pulley off. And that leaves us with just this arrangement. Now, from here, super easy. Sounds like those bearings are going. Super easy. All we've got to do is remove these nuts and this whole assembly will come apart, and then we can just put the new wheel in. Right, for speed, I'm just using 2 ratchets, guys. But you can use an Allen key on the side with the orange ratchet. Right, now once those nuts are off, this whole assembly should be free to come apart. To bring this one out, that one seems to be threaded. There we go. Right, once all those bolts are out, this whole thing should come apart. Now be careful, you don't want to disconnect those motor wires. If you do, you want to know which way round they went. There we go. Right, so that whole assembly has come off, and there we go. That is the old wheel. You can see them here, look, compared. Now, one of the things you might want to do, I've noticed that my bearing is trashed. See if we can get that out. Right, so I've taken the bearing out. I've only ridden this board, I don't know, like 4 to 5, 6 times, maybe max. That bearing is destroyed. So we'll be swapping that out while we've got that available. Where are the bearings? Nice. Freshie. Now, I think the reason this bearing got trashed is I live in the UK where it's really, really moist. And I reckon it wasn't very kind to the bearing. So we're just going to line that up. Use a hammer. We're in. Fresh bearing. So that went in there. Nice. This outer piece has 2 holes and they fit into the 2 holes on this bracket. So when you do that, you can't really see it because I've got the motor down here. But that sort of clicks in to the chassis. I guess that one's trashed as well. Oh, that one's all right actually. Same for this side. Get the dots lined up and that'll sort of clamp together. And then reinsert the bolts. One. If we get a nut on the end of each one of these, stop it from coming apart. Right, okay guys, I'm just going to get these nuts done up and I'll come back to you. Check the rotation. Right, if that is not rotating free, like mine, it means you've tightened these up too much. So we're just going to take them back off a little bit. Just a little bit. There we go. Much better. Right, that's what you want. You want it to be free rolling. Right, next thing we've got to do, well, just double check that none of your motor wires came undone. If they did, pinch them back together. Mine are all good. Now, you'd normally, I think at this stage, I'd normally put the motor bolts back in, but like I said, these early ones are really bad, so I'm going to change them out. I'm going to change these bolts for M4 12mm socket cap head bolts. I've already done this on the other one when I had to change a belt, I think it was. And I'm just placing these bolts in for now. I'm not going to tighten them all the way up because obviously we need to adjust the belt tension. Right, now we're just going to put the wheel pulley on. There we go. And the C-clip, which is always a funny thing to get on. Right, that's on, but I haven't done the grub screw up. It basically just sits against that clip. Whilst pushing the pulley that way, I'm just going to tighten the grub screw. Just needs to go tighten up and then a little turn. Don't go too far. You could strip the grub screw. And then lastly guys, we just need to put the belt on. So in order to do that, we're going to loosen our new motor bolt. Belt back on. There we go. Right, now belt tension. You don't want this mega tight, but also you don't want it really loose because it'll start skipping. You don't want it really tight because it'll destroy the bearings in the motor. So just, you know, it doesn't need to be, probably a little bit tighter than that to be fair. It doesn't need to be mega tight though. And then I'm just going to do these motor bolts up. And there we go, that is done. One freshie installed. Look at the difference, amazing. Now this is going to make for a much smoother ride. Oh, need to put the belt cover back on. Almost forgot the belt cover. Okay guys, this is done, and now it's time to do the other side. And there we go guys, Freshies are installed on the Summerboard on both sides, and I tell you what, they look the absolute business. Compared to these old things, it makes these look ancient, and these are based off the old design on the V2, they're just a bit wider. But these new Freshies look really good, lots more urethane. Now, it is going to affect the battery life. Now, I don't care what anyone says, I've seen it online that these don't affect the battery life. It will. There's more urethane. It squishes. The heavier you are, the more it's going to affect it. I don't think it's going to affect it a lot. It might be noticeable, it might not. When we get out on these for the first shred, we'll find out. But the board is looking fantastic on them. Super happy. And you know what, Summerboard, thumbs up to you guys. You know, you're always improving your product. You're listening to feedback, and it's blowing up. When I started doing this, it was super niche within a niche. But now a lot more people are getting these Summerboards, and in fact there's now a Summerboard UK WhatsApp group, and I'm hoping to meet up with some of the chaps really soon. Something I thought would never happen. I thought I was like the only one in the UK, and I probably was for a long time. But now there's an active community growing. This thing is becoming more and more awesome as a community develops around it. They've just released an app for the board, and they're going to be doing some sort of International Olympics competition stuff through the app, I'm told. It's going to be super cool. I'm really happy about the future of Summerboard. And with that guys, that's all I've got to say. If you really enjoy my content, I've got a buddy out in Australia called Zach. He's basically the same as me, but he's like the Australian version. He does DIY builds, he rides electric mountain boards, and he rides a Summerboard, and he's a lot better than me at the Summerboard. So if you like what I do, go and check him out. He's a nice guy, and I think you'll enjoy his content quite a bit also. I'm going to put at the end of the video now a card to his channel. Go and give him a watch. Go and give him a sub and say you're from my channel, say hello. So guys, thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next Summerboard video, which is probably going to be very soon because I'm dying to ride this thing. I'll see you later.